If you're thinking about moving to Palm Beach County or South Florida, you may be wondering when it's the best time to make the move. Is there a certain season that's better? Is summer too risky because of hurricanes? Should you wait until school's out? Or is there actually a better time of year to buy because there's less competition? And the truth is, it's always a good time to move to South Florida, but there are definitely some certain times of the year that can make the process a little more challenging than others. And if you understand those things ahead of time, you can plan around them and make the move a whole lot smoother. In this video, I want to walk you through the biggest things I think about when helping buyers move to Palm Beach County, from weather and hurricane season to buyer competition, schools, and even one Florida tax issue that surprises a lot of people when they buy a resale home. If we haven't met, I'm Linda Brennan with the Brennan team here at Keller Williams Wellington. My husband Bill and I have lived and worked in Palm Beach County for decades, and we help people relocate throughout the area, from Wellington and Royal Palm Beach to Loxahatchee, Lake Worth, and beyond. So if you're thinking about making a move here, let's get into it. The first thing I want to say is that there really isn't a single perfect time to move to Palm Beach County. The best time depends on your priorities. If you have school-aged children, your timing might look differently than somebody who's retired. If you're moving from out of state and trying to buy and close quickly, that might look different than someone who's going to come here and rent first and learn the area. If you're hoping to avoid competition, you might make a different choice than someone who wants the biggest possible selection of homes. So instead of thinking about this as what is the best month to move to Palm Beach County, I would think about it more like this. What matters most to me? Weather, school, timing, inventory, competition, or overall ease of the move. Because once you know that, it gets much easier to figure out based on your timing for your situation. Let's start with the weather, because this is really one of the biggest concerns people have when they're moving to South Florida. Yes, we are in a tropical climate, and yes, hurricane season is a real thing. Starts June 1st, goes through the end of November. But that doesn't mean that summer or fall is a bad time to move here. It just means that you need to understand what that season can look like and how that can affect you. One thing I always tell people is that during our rainy season, it can rain almost every day, but that doesn't mean that it rains all day, every day. A lot of times it's a quick, heavy downpour in the afternoon and then it clears up. Sometimes it's scattered storms throughout the day, and every now and then it opens up and just pours. It can be unpredictable. So if you're moving during summer or early fall, you just might want to know that you might be dealing with heat, humidity, and some regular rain while you're house hunting, moving, or getting settled. Now here's the interesting part that can actually be helpful when you're buying. If you're looking at homes during the rainy season, you may get to see how the property really handles the water. You might notice if the lot drains well, or if there are low spots where the water sits in certain areas, or how the road and driveway handle a heavy rain. So while the weather can be inconvenient, it can also give you very useful information that you might not see in the dry season. You might be wondering how hurricane season affects your home search. This is another one that worries people, and I want to put it into perspective. It's not like every time there's a storm in the Atlantic that you can't buy a house in Florida. That's not how it works. What happens is this: if we are in the cone of uncertainty and a storm is approaching our area, insurance may temporarily stop binding new policies until the storm passes. That's like if we have a hurricane warning, not just a possibility. It doesn't mean that the deal is dead either. It doesn't mean you can't buy the house. It just means that the closing might need to pause until the storm moves through and the insurance company is willing to bind coverage again. Sometimes after a storm, a lender may also want to confirm that the property did not sustain damage before they finalize the loan. That can be as simple as sending someone back out to take a photo of the property or verify that the property is still in the same condition. Doesn't happen all the time, but it is something that can come up during storm season. The good news is that it's all manageable. It's not something I would avoid moving over, but it's one of those South Florida realities that can occasionally affect timing. And if you're buying new construction and they tell you that it will be a 10-month build until completion, keep in mind that if a storm does pass through, that timeline could be extended if they have to do any repairs or damage, or if they simply couldn't work for a certain period of time. So if you're asking me, is hurricane season a bad time to move? My answer is no, but it can add a few extra moving parts, and it helps to know that ahead of time. The next thing I would think about is seasonality and competition. So Palm Beach County is active all year round. We are not a market that just completely shuts down at any point, but we are absolutely have busier and slower pockets throughout the year. Generally speaking, I would say March and April are some of our busier times. We have some seasonal residents here and more people are out and about, and the market just tends to feel more active. When there are more buyers in the market, that can mean more competition for that property, for any property. On the flip side, I often feel like August and October can be our slower months. And that doesn't mean that nothing's happening, but that can mean quieter times where there may be fewer buyers out looking, and that can be a good thing if your goal is to avoid the competition. Now, the trade-off is that the slower months can also mean that there's less inventory, because not every seller wants to list right before school starts or during hurricane season or right as we're headed towards the holidays. Often a homeowner decides, I want to spend one more Christmas in my home, and then they list after the new year. And this is where it becomes a balancing act. If you want the absolute biggest selection of homes, you may prefer to shop when there's more inventory coming on the market and people are more active. If you want less competition and a little more breathing room, some of those slower pockets of the year can actually be a smart time to buy, as long as you're okay with the possibility of having maybe a little less inventory to choose from. This is also where local knowledge really matters, because not every Palm Beach County area behaves the same way. For example, a place like Wellington can have some seasonal influences because of the equestrian season and the number of homes that may be rented out during that part of the year instead of being offered for sale. Other areas may not feel that as much. So if you're trying to decide not just when not to move, but also where to move, that is where I really like to look at the specific area and the type of home, your budget, your timing goals all together. And if you're moving with school-age children, then the school timing is definitely something you would think through in advance. Not because you can only move during the summer, but because there are a few more moving parts you'll want to understand before you pick a home and a timeline. The first thing is school zoning and daily routine. Before you buy, you want to know where your children will be going to school, how long that commute is going to be, whether busing is an option, what the morning routine is going to look like, and whether the home you're considering really works for your family's day-to-day life. Palm Beach County also has different schooling options. You may be looking at public schools, charter schools, private schools, or choice programs, and those can all affect your planning. I do not think moving in the middle of the school year is automatically a bad idea. Families do it all the time, and kids adjust. But where timing can matter more is if you're hoping to get into a particular choice program, because those often have application windows and deadlines. So if that's important to your family, I would definitely want you to look into that earlier rather than later. And another thing people don't always think about is sports. If your child is involved in sports, I would also be looking at the school calendars, tryout dates, and the timing of the local sports seasons, because those schedules may be very different from where you're moving from. And if your child is hoping to jump into a school team or a local league, that can absolutely affect when it makes the most sense to move. So for families, I wouldn't say there's one perfect time of the year, but I would say the more you can understand the school, zoning, sports timing, and your family's routine before you make the move, the smoother that transition is going to be. Now, let me give you one Florida specific thing that I think is worth knowing if you're buying a resale home here, because this surprises a lot of buyers. If you pull up a resale home online and you look at the current property tax bill, don't assume that that's what you'll be paying. Many homeowners have lived in their homes for many years and have homestead exemption along with Florida's Save Our Home program protection. That's designed to keep their assessed value and their property taxes from increasing too quickly over time. And that's great for them, and it's exactly what the program is intended to do. When you purchase that home, however, the property will generally be reassessed based on your purchase price. A good planning number is approximately 1.5 to 2% of the purchase price, depending on the exemptions you're eligible for. So if you're using the seller's current tax bill to estimate your future monthly payment, you could be budgeting far less than you actually owe. The other thing to understand is that Florida property taxes are paid in arrears. That means depending on what time of the year you close, the amount your lender collects up front to set up your escrow account can vary. It doesn't necessarily mean you're paying more in taxes overall, but it can affect how much cash you will need to bring to the closing. This is one of those details that catches a lot of out-of-state buyers by surprise, which is why I like to go over these numbers early in the process so there aren't any surprises later. So when is the best time to move to Palm Beach County? If I had to sum it up, I would say it this way. It's always a great time to move to South Florida. There really is no wrong time to move here, but there are times of the year that can be a little more challenging depending on your situation. If you move during the summer or early fall, you may be dealing with rain, storm season, heat, and the occasional insurance delay if storms are affecting our area. If you move during the busier parts of the year, you may have more competition from other buyers. You may have school-aged kids. You may need to think through zoning, sports, routines, and whether choice programs, deadlines matter to you and your family. And if you're buying a resale home, you absolutely want to understand how Florida property taxes, homestead, and escrow can affect your monthly payment and your cash to close. So the best time to move here is really about finding the perfect time for you. It's understanding the trade-offs and choosing the timing that works best for your family, your budget, and your goals. And that's exactly where I can help. If you're thinking about moving to Palm Beach County and you want to help figuring out not just where to live, but when to move, how to avoid some of the common surprises, I'd love to help. My husband Bill and I help buyers all over Palm Beach County, and a big part of what we do is help people think through the timing, the area, your budget, schools, and the little Florida-specific details that can catch you off guard if you're not familiar with our market. So if you're planning to move, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to talk you through your timeline and your goals and help put together a game plan that makes the move as smooth as possible. And if you like this video, make sure you subscribe because I share a lot of information here about what it's really like to live in Palm Beach County, the different areas that you can be considering, and what buyers need to know before making a move. Thanks for watching, and let us know what else you'd like to hear.